so I switched it out for one of the Tommy guns. However, at this stage the Uzi is probably still the better choice, simply because I'll be swapping it out later. Tommy gun has a lot more ammo, so I might as well use the Uzi's ammo now. I also think the Uzi does a bit less damage than the Tommy gun possibly, but it's just my preferred point building weapon. The Tommy gun is still a very good point building weapon, but the Uzi is best in short bursts. Also, here's another thing, I've done this a lot of times, so you know, you might as well, it could just be me, but a lot of times I go down to the docks and I shock that thing open, but then I forget to pick it up in normal mode, and then you know, it's just an annoyance in later rounds when you have to go all the way back there to do it. So now I've got enough points to open the door and lower the electric defenses for another one of the parts. Still got one afterlife left after this, so it's a pretty safe movement. So at this point I've got about 3,000 points left, so I'm going to aim to go back and pick up Speed Cola. The Uzi does suffer from quite a long reload time, and even though the Thompson's okay, I'll probably still be sticking with the Uzi at this time, so it's best to have that reassurance. Also, I'll be moving on to the other parts of the map in later times, the infirmary, and that's a pretty risky area, so buying Speed Cola would definitely be a good choice. However, as you can see here, the zombie despawned, which has led to the round changing. Now this creates a bit of a problem because you have to think fast, because the Speed Cola isn't located in a particularly easy area to survive. The warden's office has a lot of spawn points and it's relatively cramped and there's no easy escape routes. So I decided that with the weapons I have, and it's only round 7, so I should be able to survive at this time. So as you can see, I guess picking up Speed Cola, there's also the part in that area, so I decided that while I'm here at the warden's office I might as well pick up the engine for the plane. However, I switched to the Tommy gun because, you know, zombies could come in fast. However, the nuke sorts that problem out, no problem at all. So I leave the warden's office. Now I'm going to plan to head to the infirmary, simply because this is the last demon spawn, and the longer I leave it, the harder it's going to be when I get there, so I might as well get it over and done with. However, there's about 3,000 points worth of doors between me and the infirmary, so I'm going to have to wait here in the cell block before I can move on. So I'm just going to stay at the stairs here, but even though I can't afford the escape route yet, it's a fairly good defensive area, because zombies only really, that you can funnel zombies in to come at you from only one direction. However, when they're funneled in this way, it doesn't create that much space, so it's not an ideal place to stay. So at the end of the round I decided to move on. So obviously none of this stuff is powered yet, and I've got all my afterlives left, so if I can get the demon fed by this round, I'm going to plan to power up some of the other perks. So here I'm just killing the first zombies that are coming in, just so I can open the door and get to the demon area, because I want to be basically getting the zombies to the demon fed as soon as possible. The infirmary is quite possibly one of the more challenging places to where the dog will be fed, so I want to, so in this area especially, I'm going to be prioritizing survival over feeding it, and therefore, you know, the earlier I can do this, the easier it will be. I'm not, you know, I don't really bother to wait for the dog to have finished the last zombie. I'm just, you know, it's going to be hard enough to survive. I don't have to have another worry on my mind. So I'm just going to stay here and survive as normal. However, I am benefited with an insta-kill. This means I can take it a bit slowly, and like take them one zombie at a time. However, they do still keep coming in very fast, so I'm just going to keep knifing them even if the dog hasn't finished yet. Also, as you can see here, a nuke and a max ammo have spawned in close proximity, so I try and edge it in to pick up the max ammo without having to pick up the nuke. However, the dog still isn't fed sufficiently, just because I was killing the zombies too close together, so I'm going to have to stay in for another round. Also, you can see I'm holding off next to the afterlife box. Basically, the plan is that if I'm about to die in an emergency, I can kill myself willingly. This means that, you know, I don't lose any perks. However, this is a quick problem here, is the warden spawns in. I am not prepared for this, as you can see. I immediately go into the red, I realised that this is the terrible place to spawn the warden, and I don't really have the weapons to deal with him, so I decided to just run. The demon can wait till later, and you know, I don't want to die myself. I've got quite a lot of good perks. I'm just going to get out of the area as soon as possible. Okay, now unfortunately, you see, this is the thing. I'm running from the warden because I know he'll probably kill me in the close quarters of the infirmary. However, this gives him the opportunity to start locking down all the various perks. However, I don't actually have anything much unlocked yet. You know, I haven't powered up any of the perk machines, and I don't think he locks down perk machines unless they're powered. So they're safe, but he'll start locking down crafting tables. So as you can see, I'm just like proceeding steadily, killing the zombies as they come, because you know, when the warden eventually turns up, I want to focus on just him. Now he's turned up, and I'm going to switch to my more powerful weapon, the Thompson, to try and deal damage with him. When fighting the warden, you always want to aim for the head to knock off his helmet. As you can see here, the warden teleported, so when he does that, don't assume he's left. He's probably just going in for a respawn to get behind you. As you can see here, he's come in. Aim for the head to knock off his helmet. This means that effectively your bullets do 10 times as much damage when his helmet is off. However, he does deploy the smoke grenades, but that's fine. He also drops an insta-kill, which is quite useful. So now that he's out of the way, I'm going to head back up to the infirmary to activate the final head, or the final demon, so I can get the Hell's Retriever. So yeah, so as you can see, a lot of things that come down to zombies is quick reactions. You know, as soon as I saw that the warden was spawning, I decided to get out of that area. Oh, as you can see, he's locked down the workbench. Although I have a lot of points at the moment, I'll probably be upgrading some of my weaponry before I take on to and escape Alcatraz. So I decide to not bother with unlocking something. So as you can see, by sheer chance, I guess the demon was satisfied just as I was leaving the area. So what I do now is I go into Afterlife. So luckily I spawn next to the portal to the roof, which means that I have sufficient time to go down here. I'm going to activate Deadshot, not because I particularly am going to want to buy it, because it's not usually the perk I use when I'm playing Alcatraz, but it, you know, it always helps to have something powered up. Also, I have enough time left, so I take a chance and go to Electric Carry. Now this is quite a big run, like going to power everything at this time. So you know, you could be cutting a bit close if zombies are in your way. You have to zap them out of the way. That uses up energy, but you know, my risk pays out, and I managed to get all the machines powered up, making full use of Afterlife. This is one of the keys to surviving a mob of the dead. Making full use of your Afterlife so you can have some spare for when you go downed, or because sometimes, you know, one Afterlife isn't enough to pick you up out of a situation. Now, as you can see, I've downed myself again to go and activate Double Tap Root Beer. As always in Black Ops 2, Double Tap is one of those powerful perks, increasing rate of fire and splitting your bullets into two, which is a very useful feature, especially in close confines of Alcatraz. I'd probably be buying it even if it didn't have its patched feature. So get that. Now I've got all 4 perks. The next priority is, of course, the Hell's Retriever. This is a very useful tool. You know, it's still only about round 9, so it's still very powerful against the zombies themselves, and also it's good for picking up power-ups, especially if you're a camper, because, you know, sometimes they get spawned out of your area. So now I need good, powerful weapons to go into the Raven Pack-a-Punch, and I strike lucky first out of the box, the Blundergat. This is quite a decent weapon to Pack-a-Punch, but the second weapon I get out of the box, which is the LSAT, is a much more potent weapon. So this is what I'm going to be Pack-a-Punching when I get onto the bridge. So as you can, obviously I was very lucky there because I got 2 powerful weapons out of the box immediately, so I ditched my point building weapons. So this is basically it. When you're going to the bridge, you have to make sure you've got something worth Pack-a-Punching, because it is a gamble going to the bridge. As much as, you know, you might feel confident because you can train or something on the bridge, trust me, the bridge is a very, very dangerous area to be, so you don't want to take it lightly. Now obviously I've got a sort of decision to make over what I'm going to be pack-a-punching, because I only have enough points to pack-a-punch one weapon. If you want to play it safe, you could spend another few rounds on Alcatraz before you move off. You know, it's only round 9. Pack-a-punching isn't really a necessity at this point. But then again, you might not be as lucky out of the box as I was. Get worse guns, so you want to pack-a-punch them to make sure they're up to the job. So at this point, so basically for the Blundergat, I decided not to pack-a-punch it here. Firstly, because you don't really need it. I mean, you get more ammo from it, but I already have full ammo, so ammo's not a worry. And at this stage, damage isn't really a problem. So I pack-a-punch the LSAT. Now, an interesting thing about it is that when you pack-a-punch an LSAT, it comes with a target finder. I don't really like this in zombies, because this is a bit obtrusive, so I send it in for a re-pack-a-punch and get a grip. This is good because I'm fine with the iron sights, and reduced recoil is always a bonus. So now I've got the Blundergat for power and the LSAT for large ammo capacity and just mowing down zombies. I also have 4 perks, so at this point I'm doing quite well. I have a good setup. As you can see, the warden was taken out quite quickly, and because there were no zombies left alive, I might as well grab a nuke. So overall, the bridge is a bad area to spawn. Or not a bad area to spawn, a bad area to survive, simply because wardens spawn quite frequently, and also zombies have a huge number of entry points. Basically, when you're on the bridge, everything can go wrong within a second. So because that's dealt with, I just want to leave as soon as possible. Go back to Alcatraz, because it has guns you can buy, ammunition. If you're using wall guns, perks. If things go wrong, it's just a better area to survive. So at this stage, at about round 10, I'm set up fairly well for the next 10 rounds. I've got powerful weapons, and even if you weren't as lucky as I was in the box, you can use the weapons you've got, or keep one of your point building guns and just keep surviving. So now I'm going to break down the 3 main defense areas, or areas that it's a good idea to survive. So the first is the upper area of the gondola here. So this is obviously an area for camping. Basically, the advantage of this is the zombies only ever come at you from one direction, so straight down the corridor. So you can line them up and get lots of collateral bullets, which improves ammo efficiency. And also you have the gondola to use as an emergency escape. Now, the disadvantage of this place is, 1, there's a warden spawn right in front of you, so he can take you by surprise very easily. And 2, as you can see here, there's another zombie spawn right in front of you, so zombies can come down at you quite quickly. So snipers that are sort of so and so here, they're basically, if you were doing this on say co-op, it would be a good idea for maybe have one person with a sniper rifle sniping them as they come down the corridor, one person with a machine gun to deal with the ones the sniper might not be able to manage, and then one person with a shotgun or a Blundergat, taking down the zombies as they spawn from the roof. That could be an interesting 3 or 4 player setup. But obviously, this is solo, you're gonna have to do it on your own. So at this point, I'm just using the LSAT because might as well. Blundergat's very powerful, so might be a good idea to keep it for sticky situations, I guess you could say. But at this point, there isn't really that much threat to me. So as you can see here, it's just zombies funnel down. You can have a huge line of sight on them. Also, the Hell's Retriever works quite well here, simply because you can just line it up, and there's huge pathways that you can take. As you can see here, max ammo's dropped, so there's no point, going out, reaching out for it. I can use a few Blundergat rounds. And I decided to stick with the Blundergat as it is, because I'm set up very well. The LSAT can handle itself if I run out of ammo with the Blundergat, and that's one of the things. A lot of times you see people with wonder weapons and they never use them because they're worried about ammo, but then you never really get to experience the wonder weapon. It's like people who have this weapon and they never use it because they're just too afraid of running out of ammo with it. So obviously, if you're it makes sense to use your best gun first, but what happens if you accidentally down yourself trying to use your worst gun? So it's just down to personal preference.